Good morning, watch lovers. Those few people who watch my channel regularly will know I recently purchased a Rolex Oyster Perpetual, primarily as an investment. That said, it will get worn, albeit sparingly and carefully. This gave me an itch to own something of a similar quality, but a watch I can wear as part of my normal rotation. In steps the Tudor Black Bay 36 in all its splendour. The watch has similar dimensions to the aforementioned Rolex, is made to an incredibly high standard, is more readily available, and costs an awful lot less. I'm sure most of you already know, but Tudor are a sub-brand of Rolex, and all their watches are hand-built in Switzerland. And welcome to my unpaid and unsponsored review of the Tudor Black Bay 36. So on with the dimensions. The case measures in at 36mm, the lug width is an unusual 19mm, the depth is only 10.2mm, the lug to lug is 43.5mm, and once adjusted to fit my 17cm wrist, it weighs in at 118 grams. In my opinion, this size watch fits a wrist from about 6 inches through to about 7.5. And this is the Tudor packaging. It's quite generic, but as you'd expect, the quality is very good. Inside are the instructions and tags. Now this is my watch of the day. It's the Bullfireman Nightbreaker. It's a 40mm sports watch. It's Swiss made, it's got a Solita movement, and it's got tritium tubes. I've already done a review on this watch, so feel free to have a look. The crown is quite unusual in the fact it protrudes quite a long way. This makes it easy to operate, but some people may not like the aesthetics. For what it's worth, I'm fine with it. It's well knurled, signed with the Tudor rose, operates the movement beautifully, and the engagement when it screws down is absolutely buttery smooth. Now rather than use their own in-house movement, Tudor decided to use what they call the T600, which is a top grade ETA 2824-2 or a Solita SW200, just dressed up. Tudor regulate each watch to a COSC standard, whilst they don't go through the process of having this model certified. This is an extremely accurate movement with very little positional variance. It's got a 38-hour power reserve and it only needs servicing about every 10 years. Fortunately, servicing this movement is relatively inexpensive compared to an in-house movement. It's a 4Hz high beat calibre that ticks away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and it's famed for its reliability. Now let's see what the time grapher thinks of it. Here we are, a smashing set of figures, plus 1 second a day, a good amplitude and a good beat error. I can tell you in reality, this gains about 2 seconds a day. The sapphire crystal is flat, but unfortunately has no AR coating, making the filming of this video extremely difficult. The 316L stainless steel case is quite simple, but as you would expect, is very well made. The tops of the lugs are circularly brushed, while the sides are polished. It is nicely shaped and it fits the back of the wrist like a glove. Its screw down back helps the watch's 150 metre water resistance, which, let's face it, is pretty impressive for this type of watch. And unlike the Rolex, it's got some engraving on the back. The dial comes in 3 colours, black, silver and blue, all having a slight sunburst effect. When looking for this watch, I found far more black ones available, but was determined to land myself a blue one, which obviously I did. As you can see, the top index is triangular, the 3, 6 and 9 are batons, and the rest are circular. In my opinion, the indices are perfectly sized for the dial, and the fact they are also applied makes the watch pop. At the top we have a Tudor logo with the Tudor Geneva printed underneath, whilst at the bottom it simply reads Rotor Self-Winding. Inside of each white gold plated surrounded index and the snowflake hands, it's got a generous application of lume. Tudor use superluminova, unlike Rolex who use chromalite. For a sports watch, this lume is absolutely outstanding and it's long lasting. Now let's have a look at that lume. Now as you'd expect, the bracelet is superb. It's satin brushed, but it's polished on the sides. It's got screw pins for easy adjustment. It tapers down from 19mm to 16mm, then back up to 17mm at the clasp. It's got beautifully fitting female end links, but unfortunately it doesn't have either drilled lugs or quick release spring bars, so if you do want to put a strap on this, be very careful. Now onto the clasp. It's a very well made clasp. It's a friction fit. It's got 3 micro adjusts. It's got a flip lock. Again, it's satin polished on the top and it bears the Tudor logo. When considering value for money, several things need to be taken into account, and residual value is one of them. Whilst this watch is unlikely to rise in price like a Rolex, it isn't likely to lose much of its value either. Needless to say, that also depends on condition. Like everything, depending on where you live in the world, will determine what you pay for one of these. I suggest you do your homework if you fancy buying one. Whilst used models are a little bit cheaper than new ones, don't expect to pick up a bargain because you probably won't. The one you see in front of you is about 2.5 years old, but still cost me 75% of the current full value price. In actual fact, probably more like 85 to 90% of the retail price when actually purchased. Tudor may cost a little bit less than some other luxury brands, but let's not forget, it is actually a proper luxury brand. The watch, as mentioned, is 2.5 years old, so I would think any QC issues would have been sorted. That said, I'd be very surprised if there were any. Whilst a stunning timepiece, I don't think the perfect watch actually exists. I'm a little bit disappointed it doesn't have any AR coating on the crystal, and for the life of me, I can't understand why. Also, whilst it doesn't bother me unduly, I find it strange they opted for a 19mm lug width. Finally, I'm no lover of polished slab slides, and feel it a shame Tudor didn't think outside the box a bit when they designed this watch. Other than those few small issues, everything else is good, no more than good, it's excellent. The dial is both attractive and iconic, and the finish and construction is as good as any luxury watch, costing several times more. The bracelet and clasp superb, and finally the very well regulated movement is absolutely excellent. So in summary, I've reviewed several more expensive watches of late, but don't panic, my passion is still focused on affordable timepieces that offer great value for money. Other than my Rolex, which is primarily an investment, this is the only watch I own where I've pushed the boat out a bit more. But to be honest, I can't think of anyone who deserves treating more than I do. I will shortly be doing a comparison with the Rolex Oyster Perpetual, so keep an eye open. That brings me to the end of this review. If you've enjoyed it, please press the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your comments below, and most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day.